All right, let's move on here to John Bonifaz. He is the co-founder, director for Free Speech for People. He's also the legal director of Voter Action, a national voting rights and election integrity organization in the United States. Got to find my other sheet here. They went out of order, so they threw me off. So here we go. Why don't you just get up there and do your thing? Okay.
Thank you, Enrique, and thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. I also want to extend thanks to Washington Public Campaigns and Craig and everyone who's been involved in pulling together this event. It's wonderful to see you all. I want to acknowledge, that Jeff, for those of you who don't know, authored an amicus brief in the Supreme Court in the Citizens United case that made the argument that corporations should not be treated as people with free speech rights. I regard him as the Tom Paine of our time on this question because he sounded the alarm far before others were sounding the alarm, and the court got it wrong and did not follow what he said in his brief, but he is on the right side of history, as we all are here tonight, to demand that we the people rule, not we the corporations. This campaign, Free Speech for People, as Jeff has highlighted, is aimed to secure and restore democracy to the people, to ensure that people, not corporations, govern in America. And we're across the country. We are in every region of the country in terms of our work and outreach, but we're also firmly rooted here in Washington State. As Enrique highlighted, Voter Action, where I serve as the legal director as well, is the organizational partner that helped to lead and get this campaign off the ground. And Holly Jacobson, who's here, is the co-founder of Voter Action. Its office is here in Seattle, and Free Speech for People with Oski Buckley as well is here in Seattle. Pam Eakes, a senior strategic advisor helping us, is here, and Karen Cooper, who's been working with us in the Washington legislature to push forward a resolution to have Washington State help lead the country and lead other states around the nation in calling on Congress to pass a constitutional amendment and send it to the states for ratification. So we're at grounded right here in Washington State, and we're thrilled to be with you tonight to talk about this critical question of our time. This is a dangerous moment. It is a dangerous moment, but it is also an historic opportunity. As Jeff highlighted, we just released only 2 months ago a public opinion survey, the most comprehensive yet done to date, by Peter Hart, a reputable pollster in the nation, highlighting that there is unified opposition to this ruling across the political spectrum. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, overwhelming majorities do not agree with the idea that corporations are people, that they should have free speech and other constitutional rights to undermine our democracy, to attack our self-government. And overwhelming majorities, 68% of Republicans, 82% of Independents, 87% of Democrats, support a constitutional amendment to make clear that corporations are not people and that we the people rule. That is the opportunity that we face today, because it's not often that you have that kind of united opposition so quickly after a ruling. And it gives us the ability to move forward and build this mobilized and grassroots campaign across the country, as we have done before in our nation's history, to make clear that we need to defend our democracy. This is a question, as Jeff has highlighted, not only about campaign finance. That's a critical issue on the table. But it is also a question more broadly about corporate rights, corporate power, subverting our democracy, undermining self-government of, for, and by the people. So when corporations work to strike down health care laws, environmental laws, consumer rights, civil rights, all of these are questions about self-government and democracy, and that is what is at stake as well. When we think of the Wall Street crisis that puts us in the economic situation we're in today, that's a story of corporate power subverting our democracy and our Constitution. Massey energy disaster in West Virginia, corporate power subverting our democracy. And the BP oil catastrophe, the best example, the worst example yet of how corporate power is undermining our democracy. This constitutional amendment campaign is the engine for a broad-based democracy movement to push forward public funding of campaigns and all those other reforms we need, but the engine to say that we, the people, govern in America. And that's why we need this campaign. Now, we have engaged in public education events, as I said, all around the country already in the first year in launching this. We've had tens of thousands of people sign up at our website and join us in mobilizing people in their local communities. But moving forward this year and beyond, we intend to focus on targeted states to build a constituency and make the case to Congress and to elected officials around the country that this is a central concern of the American people. And this is a central American issue. It's not just a progressive issue. It's not a conservative issue. It's an American issue for all of us to be dealing with. And in that sense, I think these targeted efforts in the states, and we can do it here in Washington State to start off, is a way to help demonstrate we can bring people together on this question, to hold these kinds of teach-ins and forums, to go into the law schools, to go into the campuses, also to go into town hall meetings, to go to your local communities, and really get the conversation going around why we need to reclaim our democracy. Now, I do want to address sometimes the elephant in the room on this question, which is simply the notion that we don't do this anymore. We don't amend the Constitution anymore. And as Jeff has highlighted, the history shows that that's simply not true. We've done it 27 times before, 17 times since the original Bill of Rights, once every decade in the last century except the 1940s and the 1980s. But I also like to tell the story of Doris Haddock, otherwise known as Granny D. As many of you may know, at the age of 89, she decided she was going to walk across the country to overhaul our nation's campaign finance system. She set out from California, walking 10 miles a day. She didn't have an idea of how she was going to get across the country. She knew the direction she was going, but she didn't have a grand plan or grand scheme of how she was going to be housed, how she was going to be fed. Random strangers came out of their homes. They housed her. They fed her. They walked with her for part of the way. She walked through the rain, through the wind, through the snow. She cross-country skied in places. She turned 90 in the process. 14 months later, 3,200 miles later, she made it to Washington, D.C. to be greeted by then Senator Russ Feingold and Senator John McCain and hundreds of others that day. I was honored to have been there that day to help greet her, and I was honored to know her and to work with her. Last year at this time, she passed away at the age of 100. And by the way, when she heard about this ruling in January of last year, she thought about walking across the country again. But when she passed away, I thought about the fact that when she was born, the 19th Amendment, guaranteeing women the right to vote, had yet to be enacted into the Constitution. She saw in her lifetime 9 amendments passed by the United States Congress, 2/3 of the House, 2/3 of the Senate, and ratified by 3/4 of the states. She is an example that change can happen in a lifetime, including a constitutional amendment. In the name of Granny D, in the name of Granny D, it is time for us to stand up and fight for a 28th Amendment to the Constitution to ensure that we the people, not we the corporations, govern in America. Thank you very much.
All right.